once again, Christian greetings to all our valued listeners and viewers throughout the whole world, more particularly to all Shepherd's Rod believers, most especially to our beloved brothers and sisters in the United States of America. Special greetings to our brethren in Colorado, in Georgia, in Fiji Island, Mexico, Spain, in Africa, to the United Kingdom, and to our brethren in Australia, and to the rest of the 144,000 living saints scattered abroad. Greetings, may the good Lord bless you, brothers and sisters. This is our episode number 24 in the subject, the 12 figurative months. And we need always to remember, brothers and sisters, that these occurrences that we would like to show to you, it is not just a mere happenstance, but purposive design wrought by the omnipotent hand of providence. One is our pocket edition, page 37, saying, in it, every informed Bible student discerns not mere happenstance, but purposive design wrought by the omnipotent hand of providence. One is our pocket edition, page 37. And again, the declaration given by the Word of God says, 1 SR 233 and 234, woe to him who may think all these wonderful designs in the beauty of perfection are just a chance or an accident. Such a one is denying the master mechanic of all creation. He is paying homage to evolution, meaning chance. 1 SR 234. And nothing happens so perfectly. It says in 2 SR 253, it is certain that nothing could fit so perfectly by accident. But think of such marvelous foresight in devising a wonder of this kind, which would reveal by a living picture of the future for thousands of years. Are not such evidences as this a token of love divine toward fallen beings? Gratitude swells from our hearts. Words fail us. We can only exclaim with the psalmist, Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. I have sworn, and I will perform it, that I will keep thy righteous judgments. Psalms 190, 105, 106. It is not only wonderful to invent a lamp with throwing out a light of such amazing candle power, but it is also astonishing how our God can cancel His marvels from the eyes of wise and prudent men. Then in His own time, He sets them upon high hills, by which He is able to light the pathway of the searcher for truth, and by its glaring power blindfold the sight of the wicked. Therefore the people that does not understand shall fall. Hosea 4 verse 14. Light is sown for the righteous, and gladness for the upright in heart. Psalms 97 verse 11. And here in 2 SR 255 it says, such close calculations of the schedule of events that are soon to transpire make it evident that the end of all things is at hand. Otherwise, the information would not as yet have been submitted. And God wonderfully revealed this plan of redemption by just a simple illustration. Only one verse. It seems that the entire plan of redemption had been completely revealed. Verse 3 in Acts chapter 1, by which such number is the number of God, the Trinity. I remember the statement in track number 5. It says here, track number 5 on page 44, it says, thus as in one short verse of Scripture, the whole story of the flood is told. There is seen in the symbolism of the first trumpet not only a marvelous simplicity and accuracy in telling the past, but also a great economy of time and of writing material, the latter being a commodity which was then at a great premium. So this statement is also applied to that one short verse, Acts chapter 1, verse 3. Because according to the shepherd's rod, that 40 days from Christ's resurrection to His ascension, In track number 3, third edition, on page 6, it says, let's read again. Moreover, track number 3, third edition, page 6, moreover, his personal care in gathering his people in those 40 days, which we see to be a type of his supervision of the ingathering of the fruits in every generation, should therefore reveal that he is the lamb slain from the foundation of the world and the good shepherd in all ages. And that statement is precisely the absolute fact that only with that one short verse in the Bible, Acts chapter 1 verse 3, is revealed the entire plan of redemption from crucifixion to the second visible coming of Jesus Christ, illustrated by the 40 days. Now, let us now start from the type up to the entire antitypical fulfillment. We already explained that the 11 talents recorded in Matthew 25 and verse 28, saying, Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. So 1 plus 10 equals 11. And Christ's illustrations are perfect, according to track number 3, page 65. That when Jesus Christ illustrates something, that illustration must be the same in the literal application. Here in track number 3, page 65, so it must be with the spiritual harvest, which otherwise could not be illustrated by the literal. Do not regard lightly the wisdom of God. His illustrations are perfect. Track number 3, page 65. And the shepherd's rod plainly told us that the goods represent timely messages. Here in 2TG 11:15, the talents in this parable represent the Lord's goods. In the parable of Matthew 25, verse 14 to verse 30, 2TG 11, page 14 and 15. The talents in this parable represent the Lord's goods, His timely messages for the people. But the illustration, it is illustrated by 11 talents. And these 11 talents in this study is pointing to the 40 antitypical, figurative 40 days. And here in track number 3, page 86, let's read again the statement. It says, the 40 days in Acts chapter 1, verse 3 and 9, from the resurrection to the ascension, are consequently typical of the period from 1844 to the fulfillment of the marking and slaying as recorded in Ezekiel 9 and Revelation 7 verse 3 to 8, Revelation 14 verse 1 to 5, respectively, and in Testimonies to Ministers, page 445, Testimonies for the Church, volume 3, page 266, also Early Writings, page 270 to 273. Track number 3, page 86. Now, brothers and sisters, the voice of inspiration is very plain that these 40 days are consequently typical. Typical of what? Of the period from 1844, meaning the cleansing of the sanctuary. From the commencement to the end part, illustrated by the figurative 40 days. And not only the cleansing of the sanctuary, but as well as the marking. And not only the marking, but as well as the slaying, according to reading. And there is no room for doubts that this revelation cometh from God. That paragraph never been touched by any Davidian. Nobody explains. And the statement in track number 5, in page 5, it says, the strongest possible evidence that God controls the scriptures and reveals them only at the divinely appointed time. The truth of this statement is conclusively substantiated by the angel's words, I will show thee that which is noted in the scripture of truth, and there is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, your prince. Daniel 10, verse 21. And in this study, the 40 days, the 40 figurative days, I would like to borrow the statement in the old symbolic code, in 2 symbolic code, 3 and 4, page 10. It says, hence as even the very hairs of our heads are numbered, Matthew 20 verse 30, I am sure that God knew the number of days of the Gregorian calendar even before its existence. God knew it beforehand. Thus, the reality of that statement in volume 5, 754, we found the reality of this statement in this study in volume 5, 754, saying, He can devise ways and means to thwart the purposes of wicked men, according to the voice of inspiration. That is why no one can defeat God's purpose. Brothers and sisters, no one can defeat God's purpose. It says in 1SR page 89, the lesson here is, with all the satanic schemes, it would be impossible to defeat the divine purpose. It is impossible to defeat the divine purpose. Here in Answerer number 1, page 44, it says, the example in the life of Joseph. In their desperate endeavor to be rid of Joseph so as to avoid being ruled by him, his brethren succeeded only by stirring up the ever-attentive potential of providence in exalting him to the administrative throne of Egypt and in bringing themselves down in humiliation at his feet. Here is marked evidence that he who attempts to defeat God's purposes succeeds only in defeating his own and in promoting God's. And this statement is even reality in this study, the 40 typical days. Because without any doubts, the purpose of introducing Julian and Gregorian calendar is to confuse the plan of redemption. And we know that it cometh from Satan. Daniel 7 verse 25. He will change times and laws. And the statement, he will change the times, it is pointing also to the Bible creation calendar. So here in 6 BC 1082, it says, the eternal purposes of God. God had a knowledge of the events of the future, even before the creation of the world. He did not make his purposes to fit circumstances, but he allowed matter to develop and work out. He did not work to bring about a certain condition of things, but he knew that such a condition would exist. The plan that should be carried out upon the defection of any of the high intelligences of heaven, this is the secret, the mystery, which has been hid from ages. And an offering was prepared in the eternal purposes to do the very work which God has done for fallen humanity. 6 BC 1082. Now let us now begin enumerating one by one, brothers and sisters, the mystical number 40. Now let us begin on our pattern 174, 31 AD, and this is the very beginning of such revelation. 31 AD, that is the fulfillment of the statement in the Great Controversy, 327. Let's read. The Great Controversy, page 327. It says here, in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. In AD 31, 3.5 years after his baptism, our Lord was crucified. With the great sacrifice offered upon Calvary, ended that system of offerings, which for 4,000 years had pointed forward to the Lamb of God. Type had met antitype, and all the sacrifices and oblations of the ceremonial system were there to cease. The Great Controversy, 327. And you can see April 16, 31 AD, this is the crucifixion. 4,000 years, that is from April 16, 3970 BC. Now let us go to timeanddeath.com. We will show to you. Bible calendar. April 16, 3970 BC. Then let us add 4,000 years. So, April 16, 31 AD, Friday. So that is exactly 4,000 years from April 16, 3970 BC to April 16, 31 AD. Exactly 4,000 years when Jesus Christ died on the cross
from the very first lamb that had been offered by Adam and Eve on April 16, 3970 BC, pointing to the last lamb, which is Jesus Christ, died on the cross on 31 AD. Now, going back again, brothers and sisters, according to the Bible and the Shepherd's Rod, April 16, the crucifixion, April 18, the resurrection. From the resurrection to the ascension, there are literal 40 days. In April 18, 31 AD, there are 13 remaining days. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 remaining days plus 27 equals 40. Now, ponder deeply, brothers and sisters. Would you think it is just an accident if you will add April 18, 31 AD, the resurrection, 13, the remaining days, May 27, 31 AD, the ascension of Jesus Christ, 18 plus 13 plus 27 equals 58. And it so happened that 31 AD in Bible calendar in Julian, that is 58 AD. You think it is just a mere happenstance? No. God wrote out the wondrous structure of redemption, revealed by numerics, by numbers. One is our packet edition, page 37. Now, then you think it is just an accident that if you will multiply 5 times 8 equals 40, and you think it is just accident that if you will subtract the resurrection of Jesus Christ, 58 minus 18 equals 40. Now, here, brothers and sisters, from Christ's crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension, 16 plus 18 plus 27 equals 61. Would you think it is just a mere happenstance that the last day of the last 7 years of the 490 years ended in October 16, 34 AD, by which in Julian calendar, that is 61 AD? You think that is just a mere happenstance? Brothers and sisters, that is purposive design. Then 6 plus 1 equals 7. That is indicating finish. The 490 years finished in 61 AD, Julian calendar. But how about 34 AD? 3 plus 4 equals 7. Finish. Both of them indicating finish. How about 16? 1 plus 6 equals 7. Now, brothers and sisters, in the Shepherd's Rod says that God teaches the wondrous truth of the plan of redemption through mathematics, according to tract number 3, 1934 edition, page 67. But in this study, the 4 mediums had been employed: addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. So I would like to read again this statement in tract number 3, 1934 edition, page 67. The scriptures often employ mathematical means in defining existence of time and number of years from one biblical event to another. The number of days from the wave ship to the Pentecost was derived by multiplying 7 times 7, which equals 49. In like manner, the number of years from one jubilee to another was determined by multiplying the 7 sabbatical years by 7, the sum of which is 49. Therefore, multiplication is a common scriptural method of teaching truth. This subject to some may seem as strange as the thought of the earth revolving on its axis was to the inhabitants of another day. Nevertheless, incredible things often become plain facts. Hence, though we little know of the many biblical numbers and their secret code of truth at the present time, they are not always to be dark elements to God's people, for they must be there to discover and illuminate to our vision the signposts on our way to the holy city. And that statement saying it will not be always to be dark elements to God's people, that message is fulfilling this year, 2020. Why is it that it is only in 2020 that God revealed this tremendous truth, the mystical number 40? Because the year itself indicates 40. 20 plus 20, 2020. 20 plus 20 equals 40. Therefore, in the year 2020, Gregorian calendar, the appointed, predicted year by which God would reveal these tremendous truths is now being fulfilled. It cannot be revealed in 2019 because it will never indicate 40, neither in 2021. The only year, brothers and sisters, is 2020. 20 plus 20 equals 40. Now, ponder deeply, brethren. Let us go back to our the first diagram concerning the type. Now, would you think, brothers and sisters, 360 divided by 40, because there is only 360 days in 1 year in Bible calendar. 360 divided by 40 equals 9. 9 plus 31 equals 40. You need 31 to complete number 9 to make it 40. First, it points out to the year, 31 AD, the year of Jubilee, brothers and sisters. Now, ponder deeply, brethren. Only the Gregorian calendar that has 31 days in 1 month. But notice the Gregorian calendar, there are only 7 months by which 31 days. Number 7 indicates completeness. Right? I would like to read the statement in the Shepherd's Rod. For example, 1SR on page 49. It says, thus we again have the number 7, the sign of perfection, all or finished. So that's what it means by the number 7. In page 44, 1SR, 7 means complete, finished. So that is number 7, brothers and sisters. And the Shepherd's Rod also teaches us here in 1SR 232. It says, as God is infallible, all His works spell perfection, even to one jot or one tittle. The statement being true, He should have provided a way whereby we may check up and ascertain His truth. This chart, page 224. So the church on page 224. Being the summary of the message this publication bears, should be able to tell whether it proves correct or not. If its contents prove 100% true, we must accept it as God's truth. By all Bible students, numbers 3 and 7 are accepted to be the biblical numbers to ascertain scriptural truths. The spirit of prophecy bears witness to this as well as the Bible. For there are 3 that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost. And these 3 are one. And there are 3 that bear witness in earth, the Spirit and the water and the blood. And these 3 agree in one. 1 John 5, 7 and 8. 1SR page 232. So there are 2 biblical numbers to ascertain scriptural truth. That is number 3, number 7, according to that reading, brothers and sisters. And 3 and 7 is also found in the subject, the parable in Matthew 20. 7 movements, 3 hours interval. 7 times 3 equals 21. According to 2SR page 237. I would like to read the statement. It says here, the time allowed for its movement is marked on God's clock dial as 3 hours. The first 3 hours on the dial indicate from creation to the fall of Adam. Consequently, it leaves only 21 allegorical hours for human provision. 7 times 3 equals 21. Therefore, we have another reason why the angel said there should be time no longer. 2SR 237. We will explain that later. But just to explain that in that study, number 3 and number 7 have been used by the Bible or by the Word of God. Now, look at, brothers and sisters, the very first diagram. So these are the 31, the 7 months in Gregorian calendar by which consists of 31 days. That is January, March, May, July, August, October, December. You see, brothers and sisters, you think that it's just a mere happenstance? No. God thwarted the purpose of the enemy, that it even helped to lift up the wondrous structure of the plan of redemption. Now, I would like to move forward in 44 AD. Why 44 AD? So I would like to read track number 3. In track number 3, on page 85 and page 86, just as Christ and those whom he raised and took with him became the prototypical sheep, betokening the ingathering of the firstfruits, the 120, of those who are to be resurrected. So also when he entered upon his priestly ministration in the first apartment of the heavenly sanctuary. And we know the word also indicates to object. It says, also when he entered upon his priestly ministration in the first apartment of the heavenly sanctuary. The question, when does Jesus Christ entered in the holy place in the heavenly sanctuary? Now, let us read the great controversy. Although there are many passages, but just to quote only one. So let us read here in the great controversy, page 421. It says here, for 18 centuries, this work of ministration continued in the first apartment of the sanctuary. How many years that Christ's work continued on the first apartment in the holy place, in the heavenly sanctuary? 1,800 years. Then we can, let us go to our diagram, 44 AD. Let us put here, 1844 minus 1,800 equals 44 AD. So 1844 minus 1,800 because Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place October 22, 1844. Then 1,000 minus 1,800 equals 44. That is 44 AD. The beginning of Christ's ministration in the heavenly sanctuary commenced in 44 AD in the holy place. Although we will discuss Christ's ministration in the heavenly sanctuary in the subject, the daily and the sanctuary, but at this time, we will be only studying the 40 days. Now, brothers and sisters, the statement used by inspiration also, let us go back again to track number 3. On page 85, just as Christ and those whom he raised and took with him became the prototypical sheep, betokening the ingathering of the firstfruits, the 120, of those who are to be resurrected. Now, brothers and sisters, let us distinctly separate the firstfruits and the second fruits. Now, for example, Ezekiel 37, the firstfruits of Ezekiel 37 is the 120 disciples, or the firstfruits of the third seal. The second fruits, those will be resurrected in Ezekiel 37. The first fruit and the second fruits of the third seal. Now, I would like to read the statement in track number 3, page 84 and 85. The 40 days of Christ's personal presence on earth after his resurrection was the time in which the first fruits were gathered in. So that is the period of time by which the first fruits were gathered in. But that is the type, according to track number 3, third edition, page 6. And we're studying the antitype. For after his ascension, the Christians closeted themselves in the upper room and did not emerge to preach the truth until the Pentecost. The 120 who received the power of the Spirit on the very day the wave loaves were offered were therefore antitypical wave loaves, signifying the completeness of the first fruit harvest. Now the Shepherd says on page 82 and page 83, as the light focusing to this point clearly reveals that the Pentecost after the resurrection was for the ingathering of those who were to die, there must correspondingly be a Pentecost for the ingathering of those who are to be translated. And by the same token of logic, the wave sheep and the wave loaves must have a double application, each to the dead and to the living, together comprising the total fruits of the antitypical harvest. Now, both the wave sheep and the wave loaves must have a double application, each to the dead and each to the living. And concerning the dead, there are two classes, the temple and the altar. Therefore, let us distinctly separate the first fruits of the dead, which is represented by the temple, and the second fruits of the dead, represented by the temple. Let us distinctly separate the first fruits represented by the altar, and the second fruits represented by the altar, still to the dead. Each to the dead, and it's to the living. I would like to read track number 5 on page 109. The temple and the altar, inanimate objects, must characterize two classes of inanimate saints, the two classes of dead saints. So the dead saints, there are two classes, temple and altar. But the temple also subdivided into two classes. Those will be resurrected in Revelation 20 verse 5 and 6, and those will be resurrected in Ezekiel 37. The altar also is subdivided into two classes, Isaiah 57:1 and Revelation 14:13. You see, brothers and sisters, so the two classes, brothers and sisters, temple divided into two, altar divided into two. So, for in all, as well as pointing, brothers and sisters, to the 144,000, divided into two, the spiritual Israel and the literal Israel, represented by the two sticks. Let me read to you, 2TG, number 4, on page 14. Here we are plainly told that the two ancient kingdoms, the types, so the 12 tribes, literal Israel. Who are they? The 12 tribes, literal Israel, they were called the descendants of Abraham. But the 12 tribes, spiritual Israel, they were called the descendants of Jacob. It says, here we are plainly told that the two ancient kingdoms, the types, he is to restore and join and so bring out the antitype. So the literal Israel, the type, the spiritual Israel, the antitype. And that is why the Shepherd's Rod says in track 15, it says that if the living saints, track 15, page 63, the theory that the living saints at the coming of the Lord are only 144,000 in number is discredited in that it leaves no chance for even one person to be saved from a nation other than the descendants of Jacob. So the 144,000 is spiritual Israel, they are the descendants of Jacob. Not even from the descendants of Abraham. So the 144,000 living saints, they are not descendants from Abraham. They are descendants of Jacob. The descendants of Abraham, they are the literal Israel, the type. 144,000 living saints, literal Israel. Now, let us focus now our attention to the subject, the 40 figurative days. Here, brothers and sisters, in this study, the literal 40 days is divided into two. First, 31 AD, the occurrence on earth. And the two is the occurrence in the heavenly sanctuary, but holy place, beginning in 44 AD and ended in 45 AD. Only the 40 figurative days, not the ministration of Jesus Christ. Because the ministration of Jesus Christ on the holy place ended in October 22, 1844, according to the voice of inspiration. Now, 44 AD is pattern number 5. The very first offering represented by the wave ship. So the representation in 44 AD represented by the barley. The representation in 45 AD is represented by the wheat because there are only 2 grains. Now, reading again in track number 3, page 80, track number 3, page 80. From these facts, it can more clearly be seen that those whom Christ took with him were the living wave sheep. So those that had been resurrected, to repeat again, the resurrection in 31 AD is divided into 2 periods of time, 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., 3 hours interval, as illustrated in the parable of Matthew 20. Jesus Christ was resurrected 6 a.m., early in the morning on Sunday, together with those that had been resurrected, together with him. There are only 2 voices that resurrect, the voice of God the Father and the voice of the Son of God. Jesus Christ and those that had been resurrected together with him, they were resurrected by the voice of God the Father. But those that had been resurrected in 9 a.m., they were resurrected by the voice of Jesus Christ. It is Jesus Christ that resurrected them at 9 a.m. Now, here again, it says in track number 3, page 80, from these facts, it can more clearly be seen that those whom Christ took with him were the living wave ship and the only one that has been offered in the heavenly sanctuary. And then it says, and that as once raised from the dead, they are the first fruits of the dead. It says, whereas as one ever living before the Father, they are the living wave ship, the first fruits of the living, the 144,000 servants of God who sequentially precede the second fruits and the Feast of Tabernacles. It is a deep subject, brethren. That is why in track number 3, third edition, it says that the wave ship and the wave loaves and the 40 days, there is a deep meaning that need to be understood by every disciple of Jesus Christ. Track number 3, page 80, those that had been resurrected at 6 a.m., brothers and sisters, they are the only ones that had been offered in the heavenly sanctuary. I would like to show to you just a simple illustration. So, resurrected at 6 a.m. and those that had been resurrected at 9 a.m. So, the one that had been offered as wave ship, only those who had been resurrected at 6 a.m. according to the shepherd's watch. Now, in 44 AD, brothers and sisters, let us look at our little diagram. 44 AD. So, it is in April 21, 44 AD. Those that had been resurrected at 6 a.m. had been offered before the Father, brothers and sisters, as a wave ship offering. And after they had been offered, then those that had been resurrected at 9 a.m., their names were inscribed to that book. First, the book, brothers and sisters, to illustrate those by which Christ's righteousness will be imputed in their behalf. The righteousness of Jesus Christ. But it points out, brothers and sisters, the significance is to the second fruits. Because they were the first fruits, signifying the second fruits. The second fruits to be resurrected at the second visible coming of Jesus Christ. The illustration is literal 40 days, but the significance is figurative 40 days. And let us go back again to 31 AD. In Acts chapter 1, chapter 1, verse 11, it says, verse 9, 10, and 11, and when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? The same Jesus, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. That statement, in like manner, is pointing to the second visible coming of Jesus Christ. That if Jesus Christ ascended to heaven in the year of Jubilee, Jesus Christ will come again in the year of Jubilee. Here in 6 BC 1055, the time had now come, the Spirit had been waiting for the crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension of Christ. That is 31 AD. For 10 days, the disciples offered their petitions for the outpouring of the Spirit, and Christ in heaven added his intercession. This was the occasion of his ascension and inauguration, a jubilee in heaven. And to repeat again, brothers and sisters, the shepherds had made it so plain that the second visible coming of Jesus Christ is in the year of Jubilee. Now, reading to SR 252, it says, the 50th year, while the land rested, being also a type of the millennium, showing that the land shall keep a Sabbath rest, a like computation is used. Therefore, at the beginning of the 1,000 years is the commencement of the Jubilee in its antitype. What is the type? The ascension of Christ. That is the statement in track number 3, third edition. And of all the gatherings, the second visible coming of Jesus Christ is the last and the final in gathering. Now, brothers and sisters, therefore, the second visible coming of Jesus Christ must be represented by number 40. One Jubilee consists of 50 years. Therefore, 40 times 50, let us go to 31 AD. 40 times 50, where is 40 times 50 here? 40 times 50 equals 2,000 plus 31. It must be 2031 AD. The year of Jubilee. Now, since we are looking, brothers and sisters, the significance of the waving, which points out to the resurrection, because waving represents resurrection. Now, let us read track number 3. It says here, track number 3, page 78 and 79. Coming just at the right time, in the season of the first fruits, the Passover week was the period in which the worship was usually offered before the Lord. Its ritual prophetically projecting Christ, the antitype of the wave sheep. For more than 1,000 years, the annual waving of the sheep pointed forward to its antitypical event, the resurrection of Christ. So, what is the waving? The significance, the resurrection. But according to the voice of inspiration, that resurrection of Jesus Christ is only a sample, right? According to the Bible commentary, I think that is in 6 BC 1092. That resurrection, brothers and sisters, serves only as a sample. 6 BC 1092. A sample of the final resurrection, the resurrection of Jesus, was a sample of the final resurrection of all who sleep in Him. 6 BC 1092. So the significance of waving is resurrection. Now the first waving in the heavenly sanctuary took place on 44 AD. And it is April 21. April 21, 44 AD. Now, brothers and sisters, the year of Jubilee is 2031 AD. And the waving occurred on April, which is signifying the resurrection. Now, in 2031 AD, that is pattern number 4, by which the worship is offered on the third day of the feast, April 17, which exactly fits to the prediction given by Apostle Paul as recorded in the great controversy that Jesus Christ, from the crucifixion to His resurrection, there were 3 days. Now let us read the statement given by the voice of inspiration. The great controversy 399. Now I would like to read the portion saying, and as the antitype of the wave sheep, and as the antitype of the wave sheep, our Lord was raised from the dead on the third day, the first fruits of them that sleep, a sample of all the resurrected just, whose vile body shall be changed and fashioned like unto His glorious body. Verse 20, Philippians 3, verse 21. So pointing to the last and the final resurrection, they will be resurrected on the third day of the feast. And that is really the actual fulfillment. The year of Jubilee, the worship is offered on the third day of the feast. The first day is April 15, 16, then 17. Now look at, brothers and sisters. April 17, 2031, in Gregorian calendar, it is August 19, 2029. Would you think it is just a mere happenstance? 21 plus 19 equals 40? Brothers and sisters, that is wrought out by the omnipotent hand of providence. Because this occurrence, where's the statement? Maybe in the last part, we will explain that. August 19, 2029. That is in the last part, 2029. Let us go to 174 diagram, 2029, or pattern, or number 12. 2029. 174. So here, brothers and sisters, this is the antitype by which the parable in Matthew 20 is exactly fulfilled. That the very first one, the very first offering in the heavenly sanctuary, signifying those who will be resurrected at the second visible coming of Jesus Christ, the first became the last. This is the last resurrection. And April 17, 2031, pattern number 4, which would fall on August 19, 2029, it will be repeated. What's it repeat? It will be repeated Okay. It will repeat such occurrence on August 19, 1766 AD. Would you think the world will, from creation, 6,000 years plus 7,000, 13,000? The Bible does not teach that. So in this study, brothers and sisters, God proved to you and I that such occurrence, since it will take thousands of years to repeat again, it is purposive design to build our faith firmly. 7866 minus 2029 equals 5,837. Therefore, it will take 5,837 years to repeat such occurrence. So this is the antitype. April 21, 44 AD. Brothers and sisters, that is the time the first waving in the holy place, representing the last and the final resurrection, illustrating by 40 figurative number. 21 plus 19 equals 40. It is not only an accident, it is purposive design, brothers and sisters. Now let us go to the next diagram, brothers and sisters. 45 AD. This is 45 AD. The waving in 45 AD, which is April 18, 45 AD in Bible calendar, in Julian, that is February 23. In Julian calendar, that is February 23, 72 AD. Now, look at brothers and sisters. From Julian to Bible, the last resurrection will be on April 17, 2031 AD. This is Bible calendar. Julian 23. 23 plus 17 equals 40. From Julian to Bible, that is 40. Figurative 40. From Bible to Gregorian, that is 40. April 21, Bible calendar. August 19, Gregorian. 21 plus 19 equals 40. Julian calendar, February 23. Bible calendar, April 17. 23 plus 17 equals 40. Now let us move forward in 45 AD. So this is the second waving in the holy place, represented, brothers and sisters, by the wheat. The first waving is represented by the barley. So this is the second waving, right? We already explained that the February 23 plus April 17, 2031 AD equals 40. But the literal is February 23 plus 17. That is pattern number 4, Bible calendar 2024, the resurrection of Daniel 12 verse 1 and 2, as well as Ezekiel 37. We will explain it on the subject dealing only the resurrection. Now let us go to 1844. 1844. Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place October 22. Why 22? Because only number 22 that will make number 1840. April 18, 31 AD plus October 22 equals 40. That is the statement in track number 3, page 86. The 40 days from Christ's resurrection to His ascension are typical of the period from 1844. Now look at brothers and sisters. April 18, pattern number 6. Brothers and sisters, April 18, pattern number 6. And in Bible calendar, this October 22 is in Bible calendar October 11, 1843, pattern number 5. This occurrence, October 11 in Bible calendar, pattern number 5, which would fall on October 22 in Gregorian calendar, such occurrence will be repeated again on October 22, 3286 AD, or 3286, minus 1844, 1442 years. Therefore, it will take 1442 years to repeat the same occurrence. So, brothers and sisters, the only day that Jesus Christ will enter the most holy place as the commencement of the cleansing of the sanctuary must be October 22. It must be October 22. That is very plain. But that October 22 in Bible calendar is October 11, by which this will never be happen again. It will take 3,286 years to repeat such occurrence. Look at brothers and sisters. April 18 plus October 22, that is 40. October 22, 1844, there are remaining 10 days. Let us count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only 10 days. October 11, 1843, remaining 21 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Then 10 plus 21 equals 31, pointing to 31 AD, from crucifixion to the most holy place. Well, it's up to you, brothers and sisters, whether you say that that is just an accident or mere happenstance. Now, in 1845, the fulfillment of the statement in three symbolic code, by which that 1844 is Bible calendar. In Gregorian, that is 1845 AD. So this is the type, 31 AD. And this is the offering of the worship in the most holy place, April 18, 1844. The same pattern from the time Jesus Christ was resurrected. But that April 18, 1844 in Gregorian, that is April 27. So here, brothers and sisters, 13 plus 27 equals 40. 27 plus 13 equals 40. So, the remaining days in 31 AD, 13 plus 27, April 1845, that is 40. And this April 18, Sunday, on Bible calendar, pattern number 6, which would fall on April 27, 1845 Gregorian calendar, such occurrence will be repeated again on April 27, 3287 AD, 3287 minus 1845, 1442. Therefore, it will take 1442 years to repeat such occurrence. Brothers and sisters, just to convince you and I that it will never happen again. Now let us go to 2017, and I would like to finish all of them. And you can have this diagram if you wish. We will send it to you through email. Or in this study, you can download. Now, 2017, this is the only year by which April 18 in Bible calendar 2019, in Gregorian, that is October 22, 2017, the dividing line, because October 22, pointing to the commencement of the cleansing of the sanctuary, October 22, 1844. What is 1844? 18 pointing to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. What is 44? 44 AD, the commencement of Christ's mediation in the holy place. It will never be happen again, brothers and sisters, that April 18 in Bible calendar 2019 in Gregorian is October 22. April 18 on Bible calendar Sunday, pattern number 6, which would fall on October 22 Gregorian Sunday, such occurrence will be repeated again on October 22, 7854. 7,854 years. 7,854 minus 2017. 5,837 years. Therefore, it will take 5,837 years to repeat such occurrence. 1844, 1845, both of them, it will take 1,442 years. But this one, it will take 5,837 years to repeat such occurrence. But the world will not reach on 7,854 AD. Brothers and sisters, this is the repetition. October 22, 7854 AD. Let us move forward, 2020. This year, by which this truth had been revealed, 2020. 2020, Gregorian calendar. In Gregorian calendar, October 4, 2020, this coming October, this is the predicted pattern number 2 by which the worship is offered on the second day of the feast, April 16. October 4, 2020, in Bible calendar, that is April 16, 2022. At this time, I would like only to explain that such occurrences takes thousands of years to repeat again. But the entire explanation of This entire subject will be explained on our next episode. Now, brothers and sisters, that is talking about the symbolical, the figurative 40 and symbolical 1,260 days. We'll explain that later. Let us focus first to October 4. April 18, 31 AD, remaining days 13. October 4, 2020, remaining days 27. 13 plus 27 equals 40. April 16, 2022, pattern number 2, Bible calendar, which would fall on October 4, 2020. Such occurrence will be repeated again on October 4, 7857 AD. 7857 minus 2020, 5,837. Therefore, it will take 5,837 years to repeat such occurrence. The first two, 1844 and 1845, it will take 1,442 years. Now, we have now 2017. We have now 2020. It will take 5,837 years to repeat such occurrence. Therefore, there is no other. Pattern number 2. This is the very year. Now, let us go to 2021. Gregorian calendar. October 10, 2022, in Bible calendar, pattern number 2. In Gregorian, that is March 27, 2021. In Gregorian. This is the blotting out of names. The last and the final day of atonement in the holy place. The cleansing of the sanctuary. The purification of the church. Now, brothers and sisters, the waving commenced on April. April contained 5 letters. The first month in the Bible. March, the last month in the Bible. March also contained 5 letters. Number 5 indicates the number of the Bible according to the Shepherd's Rod. But number 5 also indicates the 5 proceedings, both holy place and most holy place. And that is the significance of the 11 talents that had been bestowed by God to that servant, the last servant. Meaning, the entire proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary. 5 in the most holy place, 5 in the holy place, 10 in all, plus the 1 talent, the occurrence on the earthly sanctuary. 11 in all. Now, brothers and sisters, the last and the final day of atonement ended on Saturday. Saturday is the 7th day, meaning complete. The last and the final day of atonement. This March 27, 2021, in Bible calendar, that is October 10. Brothers and sisters, so it was illustrated only by the 2, number 2, barley and wheat. This is the last day of atonement, pattern number 2. Now, it says, the commencement of the cleansing of the sanctuary began on Tuesday, October 22, 1844. On the 7 days, only Tuesday has 7 letters. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, only Tuesday contains 7 letters. Perfect number. Now, it seems from Tuesday to Saturday, there are only 5 figurative days. Why 5? Because there are only 5 proceedings. Now here we enumerated the 5 to be resurrected. Revelation 20 verse 6, 5 and 6, Ezekiel 37, the apostles, the second call in Matthew 20, because Ezekiel 37, the first call in Matthew 20, the Millerites, the third call in Matthew 20, Daniel 12, 1 to 3, the fourth call in Matthew 20, and then the last call. The last one is the proceeding under the 7th seal, the living saints. But we enumerated one by one. From 1844 to 2011, this is the 5 proceedings. First seal, second seal, fourth seal. Then the 5th seal is divided into 2, 1500 to 1530 to 1530 to 1755. Now, in 2011 to 2021, March 27, holy place. This is the proceeding. Ezekiel 37, then the apostles, the second call, the Millerites, the third call. This is the first call, second, third, fourth, and then the 5th call, the worshipers, the 144,000 living saints. And this occurrence, October 10, pattern number 2, Saturday Bible calendar, which will fall on Gregorian March 27, Such occurrence will be repeated again on March 27, 1758 AD. 1758 or 7858, 7858 minus 2021 equals 5,837. Therefore, it will take 5,837 years to repeat such occurrence. You see, from 2017 is even longer years than 1844 and 1845. 1844 and 1845, only 1,442 years to repeat such occurrence. But 2017, 2020, brothers and sisters, 2021, it will repeat 5,837 years. Now, let us go to the next, 2021. Now, 2021 Gregorian, April 2023, pattern number 3, Bible calendar. April 14, the Passover. In Gregorian, that is September 27, 2021. Why Monday? Maybe we will explain that, brothers and sisters, because that is the missing day. Right? April 18, Resurrection, Sunday. Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place, October 22, Tuesday. This is the missing between Sunday and Tuesday. This is Monday. September 27, 2021. Brothers and sisters, the 144,000 spiritual Israel, all of them are completely sealed individually. Therefore, we need to expect the blowing of the four winds. Brothers and sisters. Now, let us look at again. Where is the other one? We immediately, the first one, number 10. That is number, where is it? September 27, 2021. So, September 23, 2021, Jeremiah 8:20 will be fulfilled when the wicked will say, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. And we'll explain that later. April 14, 2023, pattern number 3 on Bible calendar, which would fall on September 27, 2021. Such occurrence will be repeated again on September 27, 7858 AD. 1758 minus 2021, 5,837. Therefore, it will take 5,837 years to repeat such occurrence. So, from 2017, then 2020, then 2021, which is March 27, and we have 2021, September 27, all of them, 5,837 years. So, let us go to number 10. So, this is number 10. So, let us go back to number 9. So, number 9, that is April. Still pattern number 3. But this in number 10, it is already, let us go back to that, brother. 9. Where is 9? This is April 2023. April, and why is it that 9? Let me see, 9. Pattern number, it is already pointing to the waving. Sorry. So the first one is pointing to the Passover, 9. So let us go to number 10. This is the waving. April 20, 2023. So this is April 14, the Passover. So April 20, waving, in Gregorian calendar, it is October 3, 2021. Therefore, October 3, 2021, the four winds release. Winds start blowing within the United States of America. Now, from April to April 20, 2023, pattern number 3, Bible calendar, which would fall on October 3, 2021, such occurrence will be repeated again on October 3, 7858 AD, 1758 minus 2021, 5,837 years. Therefore, it will take 5,837 years to repeat such occurrence. It will never be repeated again, brothers and sisters. Now, let us go to number 11. Number 11, 2022. This is the slaying. The slaying that occurred in Egypt is April 14, 1491 BC. The same pattern. So, April 14, 2024, pattern number 4. In Gregorian calendar, that is September 22, 2022. Right? In Gregorian calendar. Now, April 16, 2022, there are 15 remaining days. 15. Then, September 25, this is the special resurrection. 15 plus 25 equals 40. Now, April 14, pattern number 4 in Bible calendar, which would fall on September 22, 2022 in Gregorian calendar, which is Thursday, such occurrence will be repeated again on September 22, 3464 AD. 3464 minus 2022 equals 1442. Therefore, it will take 1442 years to repeat such occurrence. Now, let us go to the last one, 2029. So here, brothers and sisters, this is the last one, the last figurative 40, the year of Jubilee, the 120th or the 40th Jubilee from the year of ascension of Jesus Christ. 2031 AD, April 17, this is the waving, therefore the resurrection. But in Gregorian, that is August 19, 2029, then April 21, 44 AD, 21 plus 19 equals 40. April 17, 2031, pattern number 4, which would fall on August 19, 2029. It will repeat such occurrence on August 19, 7866 AD. 7866 minus 2029, 5,837. Therefore, it will take 5,837 years to repeat such occurrence. How many 1,442? Only 3. 1844, 1845, and 2022. But how about 5,837? 1, 2017, then 2022, then 2021, 3, 4, then 5, then the last one is 2029. Brothers and sisters. So to repeat again, this type of figurative 40 is illustrated by God in the proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary as well as the occurrence on the earth. And the mere fact that it will take thousands of years to repeat such occurrence, that is a message to you and I, brothers and sisters, that it is a purposive design brought out by the hand of the omnipotent hand of providence. So, we will continue this subject, brothers and sisters, and hoping that the good Lord will bless us. And to repeat again, whether we believe it or not, this message cometh from God. And without any doubts, brothers and sisters, World War II will be resumed before September 22, 2022. I would like to repeat again. World War II will be resumed again before September 22, 2022. September 22, 2022 is the divinely appointed time for the deliverance of God's people, the 144,000 living saints, which is no longer far distant. And we fully believe that this COVID-19 is the fulfillment of the vision recorded in the Great Controversy. Brothers and sisters, there is no more solution of this pandemic except that miracle power bestowed by the devil, by Satan, to the false prophet, to perform miracles, to heal the disease of the people. Thank you very much for listening and viewing this program. May the good Lord bless you and have a beautiful, wonderful